You may remember from the program last week the case of Grant Park Christian Academy. This is a Tampa school that was denied funding for its school lunch program under the new Biden administration guidelines for Title IX. Now, this was due to the school's refusal to comply with the Biden administration's radical expansion of the definition of sex to include sexual orientation and gender identity. We have good news to report. Just days before the new school year and 9 days after Alliance Defending Freedom attorneys filed a lawsuit on their behalf, the school was informed last Friday that their application for funding has been approved and that the students will continue to receive their meals. Joining me now to discuss this is Erica Steinmiller-Perdomo, legal counsel for Alliance Defending Freedom. Erica, welcome back.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'm glad to be back so soon to report on good news.
Well, it is great to have a legal issue resolved quickly, and we don't say that every day, but we think it is. Tell us a bit about what you've learned since we last spoke.
So last week when we spoke, we had a court date. We were set to be heard before the court on Thursday, August 11th. But on Friday, we were contacted by state and federal officials who basically backed down. The Biden administration backed down. They'd rather not take these issues to court. They rushed to now grant Grant Park Christian Academy's religious exemption that we've been seeking clarity on. And the state officials ensured that they will be approving the school's application to participate in the National School Lunch Program for the 2022-2023 school year. So basically, they have guaranteed that starting Wednesday, when classes are in session, the kids at Grant Park Christian Academy are going to be receiving those meals, and the school will be receiving its necessary funding.
That is terrific news. Do you see the speed with which they changed their position on this as an admission that if this went to court, they were going to lose?
Well, I think that the Biden administration realizes the egregious manner in which it was trying to and ignoring the school's religious liberties in this case. So this is definitely a win for religious liberties. It's a shame that we had to go to court and put this pressure on them in order for them to comply with religious exemptions that are already in the law. But what this win for Grant Park Christian Academy doesn't do is let other religious schools know where they stand. Do they have to be filing letters for the Department of Justice, or I'm sorry, for the U.S. Department of Agriculture? When are they going to be receiving word from the government without a pending lawsuit? So there's a lot of still questions that are unresolved, but we're definitely happy that for Grant Park Christian Academy, they can begin schools and know that they're going to be receiving those meals.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we're this specific case dealing with this one school, and we have a good resolution. But is it true that the default position for the rest of the country remains you must comply with the government's definition of sex and sexual orientation, and if you do not, you have to specifically get an exemption? Isn't that itself a problem, that you have to get formal paperwork approval from the government in order to be able to live as everyone else does if you have the belief that men can't become women?
That's exactly true. And that's why ADF has taken the position that it was unlawful to require religious institutions in the first place to go out of their way to prepare these letters, to request of the government a freedom to exercise their religious beliefs that is protected by law, that they have by automatic application of federal law. And what this, one of the other questions that remains in this case is we still have the Biden administration overreaching and trying to change law without going through the proper processes. And that is uniquely impacting still public and charter schools that don't qualify for a religious exemption.
So, Erica, is it true that we can't resolve those questions about whether the government can do this in the first place until they try to enforce these exemptions? And in some ways, by granting the exemption in this case, allowing this particular program to continue, they can continue to hold the position that they can force everyone else to do that?
Well, I think that's something that remains to be seen, is what exactly is their position going to be in regard to the religious exemption. So Grant Park Christian Academy is still waiting to receive that letter from the USDA, and we are waiting to see what exactly is their position regarding the scope of this exemption and the scope of what they think Title IX reaches.
Erica, do you know of any other schools or Christian religious organizations, perhaps, that are also waiting for a similar religious exemption?
Well, we have advised a lot of our church and alliance members to contact us regarding exemption letters to help them get this process going so that they can ensure that they'll be receiving funding and being able to receive a religious exemption. So ADF is here to help for those who are in a position of not sure what next steps that they need to be taking, and helping helping these religious institutions secure their rights under the law.
Okay, Erica, for schools like this, and I'm sure this is not a giant school, they don't have a massive budget. These aren't people looking for a fight. They're just trying to serve their community. How important is it for schools like that, organizations like that, to be willing to stand up for themselves in cases like this? Because in doing so, they really stand up for the rights of everyone else.
Grant Park Christian Academy has shown tremendous courage in standing up. You're right, it is a small school. They have about 56 students enrolled for next school year, and it is a community-focused school that's just trying to provide a service of giving the parents in the area an opportunity to give their kids a Christian education with school staff and faculty that love the students, that treat them with dignity and respect, and that provide essential meals. So they shouldn't have had to file a lawsuit in order for the government to protect their religious freedoms. But Erica, their courage will definitely help others.
Sadly, we are out of time. I've got to cut you off. We got to go. It's a heartbreak. Good news. Thanks for being with us.